Welcome to Touchdown Town on BetsTV. I am Gilles Gallant with FTM Bets and BetsTV. It's week 2 in the NFL here, and every Sunday morning, I'm going to help you make quality decisions for your touchdown prop bets. Now, you may notice I am solo today. My esteemed co-host, Brendan Deeg of National Football Post, he's living out a childhood dream. He is actually a huge Eagles fan, and he is at the link for the first time as they host the 49ers today as 3-point underdogs. So we're going to read his top 5 touchdown scorer picks at the end of the show. Now, week 1, we had a pretty good week. Week 1 for Touchdown Town, we went 3-2, just over 4 units of profit. Now, with all of my picks posted, both with Touchdown Town and my solo videos for primetime games, all of these bets could be found at the FTN Bets Tracker. 19 total picks. I had 8 wins, 11 losses, finished up 8.9 units of profit. Pretty good. So before we get into my picks, I also want to remind you that I host a weekly show on BetsTV called Dog Day Afternoon. That is Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And my first guest was Joe Osborne of Oddshark, my old stomping grounds. And he did a fantastic job helping me break down some futures for the Saints and Cowboys and Dolphins. And make sure to tune in this Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on BetsTV for Dog Day Afternoon. Now, I'm sure you're probably done looking at my ugly mug and my fantastic flow here. But we are going to get started here with the touchdown scorer picks. So let's get going. My first pick is James White anytime touchdown at plus 260. Now, those odds are available at BetMGM. And here's what you need to know. So he led the team in red zone targets last season, and he only scored 3 touchdowns last year, but one of them was versus the Jets. And in his career versus the Jets, sweet feet, 10 games, 4 touchdowns, all of them were from the pass. And he is right now, his passing over-under is around 3.5. You could probably get the over for plus money as well. And he's averaging around 4.5 catches per game in his time against the Jets. And I'm not sold that Damian Harris is going to get all of the red zone action. I think Belichick, he has shown in his time he likes to have trust. And that fumble last week versus Miami, I think that could impact Harris's snaps and playing time against Miami in the red zone. I think that could be costly. So I think James White, anytime touchdown at plus 260 is the play to make in that game. All right, we're going to start now with pick number 2. We're heading over to the Broncos and Jaguars. And pick number 2 is going to be Laviska Shenault, anytime touchdown at plus 240. Those odds are also available at BetMGM. Look, when I bet on touchdown scores, I love players that could be used both in the rushing and receiving game. And Laviska is the only player on the Jaguars besides James Robinson on Jacksonville that had a red zone rushing attempt and a red zone passing target last year. In week 1, he had 7 catches for 9 targets, and he also had a rushing attempt. One of the things, again, I love about him is that he could score from anywhere on the field, and I think he's going to be one of those deep threats for Trevor Lawrence. And as far as defensive assignments go, I think he's actually in the sweet spot, because what I expect to happen is I expect Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons, I think they're going to probably put more of their responsibility on DJ Chark and Marvin Jones. And I think that'll leave Laviska some more weaker coverage where we could be able to exploit that. So Laviska Shenault, anytime touchdown at plus 240 is pick number 2. All right. 2 picks in, Laviska Shenault and James White. We are moving over to the quarterback market now. And we are going to be taking a look at Carson Wentz, anytime touchdown at plus 450, odds at BetMGM. Look, did you know that going into week 8 of the 2020 season, Carson Wentz was the most profitable anytime touchdown scorer in the NFL? And it wasn't even close either. He had like a near 30-unit lead over guys like Kyler Murray or Devontae Adams. In 7 games, he scored 5 times, sometimes upwards of plus 1,000, for example, against the Niners last year, plus 800 against the Ravens. And in week 1, when you look at this Rams defense, I think they could be vulnerable just in this respect. They allowed 2 rushing touchdowns against the Bears from inside the 10-yard line. And when you look at their stats last year, they only allowed 13 rushing touchdowns all of 2020. And when it comes to Wentz, I think this is better odds. It is better odds. He was plus 350 in week 1. And I think anytime you can get him maybe over plus 400 is when you want to take Carson Wentz. So really, another reason why you want to take Wentz in this spot is if he does score today, you will never see him over plus 400 in any game for the remainder of the year. All right, 3 picks in. We're cooking with gas today. Love it. All right, now we're going over to a wide receiver in the Carolina-New Orleans game. This guy is a little bit of an FTN fan favorite. There's not many times that you could talk in the FTN Slack and this guy's receptions or even just general attractiveness doesn't get brought up. That is DJ Moore with the Carolina Panthers. I got his anytime touchdown odds at plus 210 at DraftKings. Look, in 2 of the last 3 games versus the Saints, DJ Moore has 4 touchdowns, 350 receiving yards, and 19 catches. And the reason why I want to bring that up and why it's important is not only does he score, he was doing that against Marshawn Lattimore because he played 2 of those games, and Lattimore's not playing today. So I really like DJ Moore in this spot. DJ Moore, again, just from a volume standpoint, he's second in total targets on the Panthers in each of his last 3 seasons. From an odds perspective, these should be closer to plus 130. So I think if you're getting them at plus 210, this is great value for a receiver of Moore's talent. DJ Moore at plus 210. Again, I love it in this scenario. We're cooking right through here. We've got 4 picks already. Now the 5th pick. This one is a little bit of a layup. We had him last week in week 1 and cashed on him at plus 134 and anytime touchdown score. It is Kyler Murray at plus 120, and you can get those odds at FanDuel. And he is facing a weaker Vikings defense, in my opinion, from all the injuries. Again, no Anthony Barr. Everson Griffin is going to be out as well. And when you looked at the week 1 performance against the Bengals, Joe Mixon had a field day on them, over 25 carries, over 120 yards, scored a touchdown. And when it comes back to Murray, we brought this up last year, so excuse me for regurgitating old stats. But again, it's very important to know this. In the first 9 games of 2020, he had 10 rushing touchdowns last year. And his odds are typically around the minus 120 to minus 140 range, especially after he got hot. So this is a steal at plus 120 to be able to get Kyler Murray, a man who is, it's basically him and Lamar Jackson. If you can get those guys at plus odds, you have to consider it as an auto bet in that scenario. So those are my 5 so far. We have got James White, Laviska Shenault, Carson Wentz, DJ Moore, Kyler Murray. Last week, we cashed on one of the 3 players that I brought up that made the cutting room floor. And I'm going to give a couple of those today. They didn't make my top 5 picks for week 2, but I am going to be sprinkling on them maybe a half unit play on these 3. And I think that these are guys that have a great chance to score in week 2. First one, Christian Kirk at plus 230. He was plus 310 last week. We cashed on him in that spot. Again, poor Vikings defense. I brought that up during the Kyler Murray segment. And Christian Kirk, he scored 2 in week 1. I think sometimes with that offense, we get so caught up in DeAndre Hopkins and his exploits. Obviously, he's incredible. And maybe getting a little too caught up as well in AJ Green and Rondale Moore, somebody who is a little past his prime and somebody who is probably going to be the next wave of decent wide receiver in Arizona. Now, another guy who made the cutting room floor, he bumped up my rankings once Michael Gallup got ruled out for at least the next 3 to 4 weeks, was Cedric Wilson with the Cowboys at plus 300. Again, no Gallup, so he's going to be factoring into that wide receiver 3 role against the Chargers. I think you're going to see a lot of heavy attention on Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, which puts Cedric Wilson in a decent spot here. And I think we're going to see lots of throwing from the Cowboys. Again, I think it's a matchup that they're not going to be able to run the ball that well. And if they get down, they're going to have to toss the ball a lot in this spot. So again, Cedric Wilson at plus 300, I think is a great spot here to grab a mid-tier long shot touchdown scorer pick. Now, the final one, we had him for Monday Night Football, and by all accounts, he should have scored. He was literally at the half-inch line for the Raiders and didn't punch it in. And that's Derek Carr at plus 800. I'm going to be definitely sprinkling a half-unit play on him. No Jacobs, again, for this week. And it's a type of quarterback, in my opinion, that really likes to almost prove doubters wrong, maybe play a little hero ball. I think we've seen that in his track record as a quarterback with the Raiders, is that when they're within the 5-yard line, sometimes he'll just take off with the ball and try to score. Against this defense, it's going to be tough against the Steelers, but I do think at plus 800, it is worth a half unit sprinkle if you want to dabble into some long shot picks. Okay, so those are my 5, and those are some of my long shot picks. All of those bets are logged at the FTN Bets tracker if you want to see the odds that I got and more in-depth reasoning for why I made those picks. We're going to move on now to Brendan's picks. Again, he's probably 10 beers deep in the Eagles stadium parking lot, just turboed, ready to see if the Eagles could take down the 49ers. But he does have some touchdown scorer picks for the week, and here are his 5. We're going to start off with Van Jefferson at plus 240. Scored last week in week 1 against the Bears. A little bit of an odds drop here. He was around plus 700 to plus 800 in week 1, down to plus 240. But Brendan likes his ability to get noticed by Matthew Stafford in this position. So we'll see if he could score today against the Colts. Next pick is Jared Cook. That was one of my picks last week. I thought he was going to be able to score against the Washington football team, and instead he's going with him against the Cowboys. The Cowboys allowed touchdowns to tight ends last year at plus 165. Not in love with the odds, but I do think that he has a great chance to score in this matchup. Third pick is Jamar Chase, rookie wide receiver. I tend to try to stay away from rookie wide receivers when I bet, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad pick. Jamar Chase looked fantastic in week 1, and playing the Bears in week 2. The Bengals are a very popular pick to upset the Bears at home in week 2. And if they do, it's likely because Jamar Chase is just having a field day against that Bears secondary. The next pick, Donovan Peoples-Jones with the Browns. This one's a very interesting pick, especially, but I do like it because of the fact that no Odell Beckham. And what you're seeing right now from an odds shift is both Jarvis Landry and Rashard Higgins are getting a huge odds bump with Odell being ruled out now. Like, you could probably get Jarvis Landry around plus 120 to plus 130 at best in this matchup. And I had him last week, for example, at plus 220. So a huge drop from touchdown scorer odds. But Donovan Peoples-Jones is his 4th pick. And finally, he's going with a running back, going with Javonte Williams at plus 150. Great picks, I think, from Brendan. I'm seeing a 3 and 2 if probably is what I'm thinking will likely come through. I think these are great picks, and hopefully he isn't too hungover from the game to be able to enjoy some of these winnings when he wakes up from a hangover Monday morning. So those are my 5 picks. Those are 5 picks from Brendan. We're going to be doing this every Sunday at 11 Eastern on BetsTV for Touchdown Town. Brendan is going to be joining us again next week. We'll probably be able to go a little more in depth with our picks as well. I'm going to have 3 picks for Sunday Night Football between the Chiefs and Ravens. Those picks are already posted at the FTN Bets tracker, so FTN subscribers already have access to those. If you want them, you'll have to wait a little bit later till probably around 3 or 4 Eastern, and those picks will be posted on Twitter in video form. So do me a solid, watch the video, give me some views, and check out which touchdown score picks I'm going with for Sunday Night Football. So again, a lot of great content from FTN Bets heading into week 2. I've got some player prop picks that I've posted. I've got all my touchdown score picks. And make sure to follow other guys like Elliot Christ and Matthew Friedman and Kevin Adams. All these guys are posting awesome not touchdown score picks, but prop picks, sides, totals, you name it. In fact, I would probably argue that those guys are way better at that stuff than me. I'm more of a niche bettor, but I think I hold my own in those markets. Now, follow me on Twitter at GDog5000 for all of my touchdown score picks and content. Make sure to head over to FTN Bets as well. That's another landing page that you can get all of my picks. Thank you for watching Touchdown Town for week 2. I'm Gilles Gallant with BetsTV, and bon chance.